Thanks for tuning into Bloomberg Quint. Edelweiss is one of the key stocks in focus. Remember, the group announced stake sales and fundraising plans into the wealth management business. They've also, along with the results, of course, they also talked about the openness to explore the possibility of selling part or full stake in the or in the asset management business. So they've done a transaction. They might be in the cusp of another, and the other businesses are also important to get a sense of. So Rashesh Shah, who better than him to talk about all of this and more, joins us right now. And Mr. Shah would also, of course, want to talk a bit about how do you see the landscape too, but that is a bit later on. First, on the transaction. Interesting valuations, I presume, at which you've done this. Can you take us through the valuations that have been done? And when do we see this listing of the wealth management business? Let's talk about that first.
So our approach has been, over the last 20 years, we have built businesses, and our approach has been to build businesses to help them grow, get partners, making them independent. We are structured around what is the best possible path to grow the businesses. So I think in this, in the wealth management, getting PAG as a partner is going to be a key, catalyst for us. We do see a lot of growth in this. We have built this business over the last 20 years, and it's done very well for us. We effectively started this business 20 years ago when we acquired a firm called Roshnil Securities for approximately 8 crores. And that 8 crores has now become 4,500 crores. If you remember, a year ago, we had put our asset and wealth management under one umbrella. And at that time, our expectation of the valuation of that business was about 8,000 crore, which even coincidentally is what the whole of Edelweiss is valued today. So our asset and wealth management, which are only two businesses, because we have asset management, wealth management, life insurance, general insurance, retail credit, and wholesale credit. So these two businesses, a year ago, we had valued it at 8,000 crore. And our approximate approach was half of that is asset and half is wealth. So in this deal, I think the wealth management business has got valued at around 4,500 crore, which is, I think, great unlocking of value. And the key part of this is we are going to move towards demerger. We're going to demerge this entity and get it listed. And when we demerge it and get it listed, we will be able to distribute the shares to the shareholders of Edelweiss. So in a way, it's also rewarding the shareholders with the shares in this entity.
Yes, indeed, and maybe better discovery of value, because then people who want to buy wealth management essentially get that. So I'm presuming 1:1 would be the ratio, if I'm not wrong, and please correct me if I am. And any timelines for the same about when the listing could happen, demerger and listing subsequently?
The idea is to start the process. So we have started the process already. The plan is that we've been working with advisors on that, and we think about 18 months from now should be the period in which we should get it listed, maybe earlier, because the approval 4 months, and then we will work towards the demerger process. Will be about a year and a half from there.
Okay. The other announcement that happened, of course, is your willingness that you've shown to get either full stake or part stake in the asset management business as well, which I presume is the mutual fund business, and maybe a couple of things more. Now, what is it? I mean, are there talks which are on? Have you been approached by people to maybe buy a part or full stake into the business? Can you share some details if possible?
There is no current plan on the anvil. I must be clear about that. We have said that because we always evaluate all options, and we are approached by everybody because, again, if you look at all our businesses, like if you remember 1 year ago, in our retail credit and wholesale credit business, we had got CDPQ as an investor. In our ARC, we had got CDPQ as an investor. In insurance, we have Tokio Marine as an investor. So we have always made sure that we have the right investor for the right business, because we have always been very clear. We are not a large business house. We don't have a lot of capital that can be. We are all first generation entrepreneurs. We are professionals. So, but we bring capability of building businesses. We can identify an opportunity, build the management team, build the culture, build the execution capability, and having partners who can provide us capital and global perspective and global linkages is a great mix for us. So India and global management capability and capital, if we can merge all of this, and that has been our approach. So what we have said is we are open to all options to build businesses, because I think all these businesses, asset management, wealth management, retail credit, insurance, LI, general insurance, all of these are great growth areas. There is a lot of growth. We are still very small in each one of these businesses, and we have a lot of headroom for growth. So I think getting the right partners in whichever format, if it creates value. See, Neeraj, our approach is how do we build value? We have never said how do we unlock value. We have first said how do we build value, because we believe that only you can unlock if you have built value. If you don't build value, how do you unlock value? So like even in
No,
Edelweiss,
but Mr. Shah,
for 20
but
years
Mr.
we
Shah,
built value.
yeah, no, if I can just kind of come in on that, your asset management business is no longer the tiny business that it was, right? You now, with the Bharat Board ETF, AUM, etc., all coming into play, you're fairly large, if not very large, in the scheme of things. So my question is, are you looking in the asset management business? Are you looking for somebody who buys a strategic stake and piggy banks along with you, or are you looking internally, are you looking for somebody to come in and buy a larger chunk of the business, uh, this has happened in the wealth management business?
See, we had identified that we need equity capital of 1,500 to 2,000 crores, which is what we had said 3 months ago. In fact, 3 months ago, we had said in the next 3 months, we'll close a deal to raise 1,500 to 2,000 crores in the middle of COVID. And so with this deal, our need for capital has now got satisfied at a group level for the next couple of years. So any partnership we'll do will be more for the business per se. Will it help the business? Will it allow the business to grow faster? Will it maybe give some capital which can be used for acquiring other businesses? And those are the things that will guide our decision going forward. Eventually, we want all our businesses to be independent and ideally listed. Not all businesses will be listed, because some businesses may have a JV partner, and it might be a 51-49 JV like we have in our insurance business. But eventually, our desire would be to make all businesses independent, list them either via IPO or via demerger. And we have seen that format. If you look at HDFC and ICICI and all, they built businesses and then listed them very well and actually created a lot of value for shareholders. And that is what our approach would be. We would want to explore all options, and that is why we put everything out there, and we've been very transparent in that. And we will be guided more by value creation, not by control. Control for us is more academic. Like in this case, when we demerge the Edelweiss Wealth Management, we are distributing shares to the shareholders. Edelweiss will not have any control, and we are okay with that because that does reward our shareholders.
Interesting. What happens to the other businesses now? I mean, the other couple of non-lending financial businesses and then the lending businesses. How is the landscape currently? I heard you mention that your need for capital at the group level is satisfied. So can you talk a bit about that as well? And how do you see the next 6 months shaping up, especially in light of the fact that the moratoriums may end and the lending businesses will have a bit of a new normal to contend with?
Yeah, I think you are absolutely right. I think in the credit businesses, the approach should be very careful. 21, a lot of this will become clearer, but for everybody, banks, NBFCs, everybody, because our estimate is it will be something that is affordable. It will be broadly between 1 to 2% of your total asset book for banks and NBFCs. And that will not be much, because I think that will get absorbed. It may affect earnings, but everybody has enough capital for that. So I think that's on the credit side. Wait and watch. We are very fortunate. We have enough liquidity and we have enough equity for the credit side of the business that we can wait and watch. We can hang on to that, and that business doesn't require more capital or more liquidity as of now in a big way. On the asset management and both the insurance businesses, the life insurance, general insurance, we see a huge amount of growth. And out of this capital we raise, we would like to allocate 400-500 crores over the next 2 years for growth of those businesses that we can contribute and help them grow. And out of this also another 400-500 crore could be contributed to the wealth management business to help it continue to grow. So our idea is to use this capital for our needs, but also make sure we have enough capital to be able to feed businesses. And all these businesses need about 100-200 crores each. They don't need 1,000 crores to grow, because unlike NBFC and credit business, which is very capital hungry, these businesses can go a long way with 200-300 crores of capital.
Interesting. What about somebody this morning was making this point about how for a lot of NBFCs, and he was referring to you as well, that the ability to consistently earn an ROE over the cost of capital in the near term might be a challenge. What are your thoughts there? You've kind of moved the trajectory from being an NBFC with the ROE of over 20% at a point of time 3 years ago, which was splendid days, and then the things started for the space at large. Things have moderated a bit. How do you see the next couple of years?
Yeah, so I would first always clarify that Edelweiss Financial Services is not an NBFC. We are a group of businesses. We have NBFC, housing finance. We got asset management, wealth management,
Sure.
life insurance, general insurance. We are a diversified company. So when you look at Edelweiss, you should look at differently. At the NBFC, you are right. I think making 20% ROEs for NBFCs will not be very easy. And I don't think, at least our assumption is that the NBFC will go away from being a very asset-led credit model to more a partnership with banks. At least our approach is going to be, can we partner with banks? Banks have an advantage of capital, cost of capital, a large balance sheet, but NBFCs bring their own advantage. So partnership with NBFCs and bank, either co-origination or through securitization. So our idea in NBFC, in our credit business, would be to not be highly geared. We expect our gearing to be 3 to 4 times. As you know, an average housing finance NBFC is geared 8-9 times also. We want to be geared about 3 to 4 times, but earn a lot of fee income, earn a lot of flow income, and try and make maybe about 13, 14, 15% ROE. And I think a good business which grows at 13, 14, 15% and makes 13, 14, 15% ROE is going to be able to sustain its own growth and will be a lot more steady and secular growth. I do agree that the days of 30% growth and 20% ROE for NBFCs may not come back very soon, and it will be a good thing.
Okay. Lastly, how do you see the rest of the year for Edelweiss, the console entity, in terms of growth, etc.? You part answered that, but if you can give us some details about what the rest of the year could be like after what arguably a tumultuous Q1 for most in the business in India Inc. And then okay, let's first talk about that. Then I would want a final question about how do you see the global landscape?
So I think all of us, I think not just in the financial services industry, I think everywhere are saying 21 is not an earnings focused year. I think for this year, we should assume that earnings is not the focus. I think becoming stronger, getting through this, making sure our employees, your businesses are in much stronger health, all that is going to be very important. So I think FY21, I would not like to hazard a guess on earnings and all. It's a year to reboot, to clean up, to strengthen. Our approach is, say, COVID will get over. It will get over one day. My assumption is maybe latest by March 2021, we will be at a stage where COVID will be behind us. So, and we are all certain that March 2021 will have one. So can we look at life beyond March 2021 and all the things we are doing, this capital raise we are doing, the structuring of the businesses to make them more independent, removing complexity, making it very simple to understand and manage the group is currently very important to us. And that will take the next 2-3 quarters. So the next 2-3 quarters is, I think, more getting stronger, making sure that you are well positioned, because when growth comes, only if you are well positioned will you be able to capture growth. If you're still struggling to do all your restructuring and getting your capital in place at that time, you may end up losing valuable time. So the next 2-3 quarters is not for growth, but it's for fixing your profitability, fixing your cost structure, fixing your strategy, fixing your org structure, investing in technology will be the important part. I don't think EPS or earnings are an important part for the next 3 quarters. But post March 2021, obviously, like any business, we have to look at earnings and long-term value creation for shareholders via earnings. But I think the next 3 quarters is more for strengthening the business.
Interesting. One final question, Mr. Shah, and that is, how do you see the global investing landscape with Fed having said what it said yesterday? It seems that the liquidity that the risk assets have in place for them right now might not go away in a hurry. Would that be your sense too? And therefore, part two, then, would you be cautious on the investing side right now, or would you believe that things would be okay despite the pandemic?
I think the optimism is back for sure. Obviously, liquidity has helped optimism also. But I think in April and May, we had COVID and we had panic around COVID. Now, COVID is still there. I don't think it's gone away. We are seeing the cases go up every day. COVID has not gone away, but the panic around COVID has gone away. In fact, that panic has been replaced with optimism as people feel that where this is going to or how this will end and what is going to be the real effect of COVID. But now at least there is some amount of calmness that has come there. So that is good news. And part of that has come via liquidity. Part of that has come because I think human nature bounces back and looks at the future. So I do believe that I think liquidity is going to be important. But what is going to be important for India is going to be actions of government and RBI. I think some stimulus, because demand is what has to be revived. If you look at the answer to this, in the short term, liquidity works. In the medium term, you need consumption to come back. And in the long term, you need investment to come back. Because investment will only come when there is consumption demand. Consumption will only come when people have enough liquidity. So I think we have done the first step. Liquidity is in place. Liquidity has improved globally and in India. Now we have to get demand revival, which will come via cutting taxes and putting money in the hands of people. And eventually that will lead to investments. And investment will be guided by reforms and ease of doing business and cost of capital and all. But overall, I think this is a cycle we have to go through. The first cycle has been done very well. The liquidity angle has been solved. Now we should solve the consumption and then investment angle.
Well, let's hope more and more of these keep on getting solved. Mr. Shah, it's good for business. It's good for everybody. Thanks so much for joining in and congratulations on this deal.
Thank you, Neeraj. Thank you.
Now, the pleasure is ours. And viewers, thanks for tuning in to this conversation around the deals that Edelweiss AMC has struck, Edelweiss as a house has struck, and Mr. Rashesh Shah's view on all of that and more.